Hey guys, in this episode, we talk with Filip, the insurance guru out of Tampa Bay, Florida. Filip is more than just an insurance guy though. He is a serial entrepreneur that specializes in public speaking, sales coaching, and business consultation. If you're ready for an inspiring episode on growing your brand, this is exactly what you need on your drive into work today. Check it out. Filip, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, brother. It's good to be here.
All right. So, as all podcasts go, we always start off with a drink. So, awesome. You said to go with, give me the bourbon, not that peanut crap.
I did word for word say that. Yes. I'm not a peanut butter fan.
Maybe the G version.
Maybe the G-rated version of that. Yes.
All right.
Love it. All right.
So, have you had Buffalo Trace before?
I have. It's been a long time though.
What is your normal go-to?
For me, if I drink bourbon, I'm usually drinking Widowmaker. That one's really good. And if I'm drinking rye, it's Whistle Pig. Those are my.
You know,
go-tos.
I haven't gotten into
Widow
rye.
Jane. It's Widow Jane. That's the one I usually drink.
I haven't gotten into rye yet, and that's my next purchase.
It's good.
Rye.
It's good.
I haven't been able to taste it. Usually I try to taste it before I buy it, sort of situation, and no one has brought rye to the table yet.
I got you.
But I'm going to go with rye next time.
I'm a rye guy, man. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on.
Mm-hmm. Does this motivate you to start having drinks inside your podcast?
That's not a bad idea, right? I could call it Bourbon and Brokers.
Ooh. Man, I got to tell you, you are the king of taglines.
Oh, look at that.
I know. I got to, like you come up with them on the spot really quick.
I'm a wordsmith. That's what I like to tell people. Yeah. I am a wordsmith. It's like if you have an idea and you're like, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'm like, what do you do for a living? And they tell me, I'm like, and they're like, wait, what? And I'll just like, have you ever seen Old School?
I have. With a long time.
Right, with Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he is on stage and he has to debate? And he's going against the Raging Cajun,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, and they ask him something about the economy, and he goes, and he's like, and he gets out of a trance. I literally go into a trance when I'm wordsmithing, and I'm just like, I'll like regurgitate stuff out, and I usually warn people, I'm like, you may want to record this or you write this stuff down because I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. Right. I've always been good at that improvisation thing. Right. Maybe being a little crazy and being a little ADHD and the mixture of the two things. Just kind of works out perfectly for that kind of stuff.
Is that why you're maybe somewhat influenced by like Gary Vee or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I love Gary Vee. I think Gary Vee is really good at it. I also think Tony Robbins is probably the best. That guy can rhyme anything into a way that makes it empowering and like self-improvement.
Do you think he did? So I haven't done a whole lot into Tony, but does he do a lot of improvisation like Gary Vee? I know Gary Vee improvs.
Man. Like I don't even know if Tony Robbins, you would call it improv because he's been in the speaking game for over 40 years.
Sure.
He's just done it so much that it's like, what has he not talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Who has he not talked to?
Mm-hmm.
Who has he not been influenced by? I mean, he knows the Pope, presidents, all these things. He's literally consulted these people, not been consulted, but consulting them. And it's like, what kind of caliber of a person when the president's going through like an issue calls him? Like, you got to be pretty high up there, right? So I think like just his knowledge and the way he can piece things together and how much he reads, he's just like one of the greatest, man. Like, I have a fear for him though, that in like 20 years, like when he talks, he's gonna be talking like this. Oh, it's pretty much there now, right? Like he says his like larynx. He's got this larynx disease or whatever. And
it's a disease.
It's like paper thin because he's got a pituitary, like a tumor on his pituitary, and that's why he's big, man. He's like 6'9".
Yeah,
he's a huge guy,
right?
Right? So it's because he has like a brain tumor or something like that. It's just crazy stuff.
I straight up just thought he has a
and it's also because he
voice
talks
for how much
so much.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And he's like, he's intense, brother. So like when you see him in person, he's only there for like one day, and then he takes a day off, and then he comes back for another day, and then he takes a day off, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And he does that for UPW, which is the cheapest. Cheapest is relative. It's the cheapest like entry level event that you can do at Tony Robbins outside of his free stuff. His paid for stuff, he's not even there. Like his more expensive stuff, he's not even there. They're showing videos of him, which is fine because he's got great staff and he's got great supporting cast. But like, if you got $1,000, you spend that on UPW, go down to West Palm Beach, see him live for 4 days, break some boards, walk on fire, And it's just like, it's the most exhilarating stuff, man. It really is, dude. Like you're delirious from lack of sleep, lack of food. You need no caffeine. He just gets you rocking, dude. It's nuts.
I mean, that's a good segue into kind of what I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
Now, I want to make sure I introduce you.
I appreciate that.
And you're an insurance broker. You're a public speaker. You are a writer. You are multiple things. I've probably done a terrible job at introducing you. I want you to introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Filip Lungstedt. I have a moniker of the insurance guru because I show people all the strategies that the insurance companies don't want you to know, right? And the reason that I got that moniker is because I was able to help thousands and thousands of people find great results in life, right? And I did all of that by doing one-to-many. This is kind of where the public speaking came into play. I kind of gained that ability by doing it over and over and over again and being very, very analytical in what I was doing, right? So I could perfect how I was doing it and what I was doing it. Now, when you have a message and you want to get it out, we all know that you want to get it out in more than one way. That's what got me into writing, publishing books, doing videos, doing content, doing a podcast, which of course you greatly helped me out with. Just being able to deliver your message in all these different variations. And it was, as annoying as he can be, Grant Cardone was really the one that spun a lot of this stuff. Like, man, you got to be everywhere, right? Like, that's his thing. You know what your problem is? Obscurity. No one knows who you are. And that's a very true thing. Like, if you're not screaming from the rooftops, you can't expect to be heard in a world that's super loud with misleading lies and, it's just terrible what we're being taught in the world. And the people that are usually educating us, like the news, it's like the worst place to get your information. So when people have a good message, you got to scream it, man. And sometimes that's got to be on paper. Sometimes that's got to be on video. Sometimes that's got to be in person, right? So.
Right. And with everything you do, you bring an energy to the room. I mean, we're in B&I together. We're across the hallway from our offices.
Yep.
You've always, since the moment I met, you've always brought a very high energy, and I find that really interesting in this day and age because the truth is, I feel like most business owners right now are burned out. Most business owners are like, "Oh my god!" Like when I think about the age of Paper Jack, it was started in 2016, and how much marketing has changed in just the 8 years. And so all these business owners are finding themselves, I got to make content. Like it's and everything added on for their marketing. What you got to do, what you got to do. You seem to gain energy from it, while others seem to just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
What is your secret? How do you gain that much energy in what you're doing?
I think it's perspective, right? Like my perspective is different than most people. I get giddy when I hit problems. I get giddy when I'm in the valley, right? Because I know I have the strength to climb the mountain, and I know that I have to there's a journey that goes through valleys before you hit the next hill. And most people give up in the valley because they just don't want to do it. It's hot, it's wet, it's muddy, there's dangerous animals all over the place, there's all these things coming at me, I can't see the mountain, I can't see where I'm going, and you lose faith. I have a lot of faith. Right? I've got a lot of belief. I have a lot of faith. So my perspective is very different than most people. But it wasn't always that way. I had to fake it till I make it, right? So I had to fake the smiles and fake I'm just going to keep going because it's tough, man. Like when you're in business, especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're getting hit from every angle, it's hard to stay the course. But the more you stay the course, the more often you do it, the better you become. I would say my biggest secret is I don't focus on one thing. A lot of people say, well, that sounds crazy. You should only focus on one thing. And I said, well, what happens if that one thing gets stunted? If your only focus is on your finances and you hit a wall where you can't make any more money, what else do you have that's bringing you joy or fulfillment? How else are you moving the needle? So I look at my fitness, I look at my spirituality or my faith in God and faith in Christ. I look at my relationships with my wife, with my kids. I look at my relationships with my friends, with my business partners. I look at the money that I make. I look at the influence that I have. I look at the way that I serve my community. And if I hit a brick somewhere, I always look at my hand and I say, okay, I'm hitting a brick here. I'm hitting a wall right here. I'm going to shift and get 1% better in my fitness. I'm going to shift and get 1% better in my marriage. I'm going to shift and get 1% better in my fatherhood. I'm going to shift and get 1% better in my brotherhood. You see what I mean? So I'm constantly getting success. So if you're always winning, it's hard not to have a winning mindset because you're winning somewhere.
Right.
And there's plenty of people out there who can say, well, I've sold more than you. I've made more than you. Great. Good for you, man. That's fantastic. I love my life. I'm blessed beyond all means. That's why when people ask me, how you doing? I say, better than I deserve. This is the truth.
Right. And, I was having a kind of a down day earlier this week, right?
Okay.
And our CEO, Josh, sent me he kind of knew I was having a down day. We had a really crappy sale that fell through, just this kind of put me in a damper mood, right? And he sent me this this video on Instagram of I don't know who the athlete is, but he got asked like, do you see this year as a failure? And he just got like pissed off. He's like, dude, you ask me this every single year. Like, did I win the championship this year? No. But why is this year a failure? Like, did you get a promotion this year? Are you an automatic failure because you didn't get a promotion this year? Like, every year's a learning experience. Why does it always have to be a failure? I think one of the reasons why you find like you're able to kind of lean on success is you find success in the small things. Mm-hmm. While this thing may fail, hey, I accomplished this today though, and I appreciate that about you because I that's motivating to me because I'm like, yeah, maybe I have a crappy day at work, but I have a good day at home, or vice versa. Absolutely. So that's good. You have that perspective, but I feel like you learned that from somewhere, or I feel like you have to have some refreshers in one way, or like to kind of remind you of this. How do you help remind yourself of those things?
So like I'm really involved with my church. So I do church twice a week. I have a men's group that I belong to called Courageous. It's a great place for me to go and vent and kind of talk about what's going on in my life and then dive in deep into the Word. Mm-hmm. And, I think all your solutions and to all your problems are in the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like if you really dive into the Bible with an open heart, that's super important. With an open heart and you read the Word, God's already put down exactly what you need to hear at all times. Mm-hmm. And when you go into that with an open heart and you read Scripture, it can really do some self-realization and some for real self-help there, where you can solve problems and make your way through things that most people can't. The second thing is I'm super disciplined in doing lots of masterminds, right? Surrounding myself with peers and other people that are just doing better than me or, are stronger than me in certain aspects, and I learn from them, right? And I do a lot of Tony Robbins. I do a lot of these things where it's like I'm constantly doing them. And some people say, well, if it works, why do you keep doing it? I said, because every year I'm a different person, man. Every year I got new problems because I'm getting better and better and better. And when you get better, you get more problems, brother. That's like the way it is. There's never a life that exists where you don't have problems, because problems are opportunities brought to you by God so you can get better. That's it. Mm-hmm. He equips us with all these amazing resources and tools. Mm-hmm. He wants us to use them. Mm-hmm. We're not meant to have an easy life.
Right.
We're meant to have a hard life and do hard things. Mm-hmm. And I look at that as like a beauty of it all. It didn't start that way, but when I stayed in it and I believed and I started to see the results, I was like, this is for real, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, this is legitimate stuff. And that's why I get excited when problems hit me. I'm like, ooh, things are getting tough. Let's get a little silly. You know
what a silly thing to say, like, well, if it works, why do you keep doing it? The whole reason it works is because you keep it routine and consistent.
Correct.
So you're very disciplined.
Yes.
And what I feel like I've learned in business is consistency is the game.
Yep.
Like obviously the right consistency. If you're consistently bad at being disciplined, that's the wrong consistency.
Correct.
Obviously, it's like get a discipline that's good and keep it consistent.
Yep.
Doesn't always have to be this huge thing that you do, just consistent. Mm-hmm. Right? So how do you try to practice that for life and business?
So I agree with you 100%. Consistency is key, but beyond consistency, there's a little add thing that I'll give you, and it's called frequency. Your frequency of consistency is what really matters, because like you said, you can consistently do bad things, and you're going to consistently get bad results. But the frequency in which you do them, right? And your frequency is constantly changing, because my frequencies are like, okay, I want to do hard things. I want to do hard challenges. And whenever I complete a challenge, I'm not like, okay, well, I'm just going to go back to working out to work out just to work out, right? Like that's not, I'm like, I'm working out because I want to walk 65 miles with a 30-pound ruck on my back through the woods with no navigation whatsoever and make it out on the other end within 24 hours so I can earn some golden dog tags, right? Like,
And that's not an analogy. You literally just did that.
Literally going to do that in January, and I'm training for that, right?
Yeah.
But then that's my focus and my motivation. That's my frequency.
Right.
So then I can create a consistent plan to get me to that goal. Whether I complete it or not doesn't matter. I want to show up and I want to try to complete it. I'm going to do everything that I can to match that frequency. But I wasn't always there. So your frequency is important, because you might want something and be like, well, I want a 6-pack. Great. Great. It shouldn't be your frequency.
Sure.
Because you're probably going to fail within the first 2 weeks to get that 6-pack and then give up because you have no results. You have no stepping stones of success.
Yeah.
So people's frequencies should be simple. If you don't work out, you know what your frequency should be? I'm going to drive to the parking lot. Step one. If I consistently go to the parking lot, more than likely, I'm going to get out of my car and walk into the gym.
Yeah.
And if I get out of my car and walk into the gym, I'm more than likely going to spend at least 10, 20 minutes doing something.
Right.
Walking on a treadmill, riding a bike, something of that nature. Once you start getting in that, you might see other people working out. You might say, maybe I'll get some training. Maybe I'll, get a men's fitness magazine and learn some stuff, right? So I think consistency has a lot to what you're doing, but setting them in a strategic way makes sense as well. Because so many times we say, well, I don't have time. Well, none of us have time.
Right.
We all get the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours, right? No more, no less. 24 hours. What's important for you? Is it important to watch TV from 9 o'clock at night to midnight? Right? And
only if there's a good game on.
If there's a good game on, but how often is that?
Right.
But think about that. Would you consider that a good habit? Watching a game every single night from 9 to 12, watching athletes in stellar shape who have worked their asses off, making millions and millions of dollars, and you're sitting at home, out of shape, watching someone else make money. What the fuck?
I mean, I would say that it's... So here's actually where I defend it a little bit.
Okay.
If that's what you find enjoyment in,
Sure.
then I would kind of like, hey, that's your enjoyment. You worked all day to do that, find that enjoyment there. But if you are not accomplishing what you want to accomplish and you're doing that,
Right.
that's when you need to change something.
Right.
Right.
If your habits don't match your goals, you need to change your habits, not your goals.
I don't believe in and maybe we differentiate in this, right? Because you are a very good hustler. And when I say hustling, I mean like just always active. What can I do better? Exactly. Your mindset is I'm not going to watch them do well. I'm going to make myself better, so on and so forth. I think sometimes there's a balance to it. Like, hustle but why are you hustling? To have enjoyment in life.
Yes.
But if you're not gaining the enjoyment in life, maybe it's because you're not hustling enough or you're not hustling in the right place.
I agree with you because I am a workaholic by nature. And I want to say last year in January, I made a real hard decision that I was like, dude, I'm stopping my day at 5:30. I'm shutting the phone down. I'm not going to turn it back on until 7:30. I'm going to spend time with my daughter, spend time with my family, really enjoy that, because what am I working for?
Right.
I'm working for my family. But if I'm working all the time and I spend no time with my family, why am I working?
Yeah.
Because the work is replacing what I really want as the goal ultimately, right? Like money's great. But the time is what I really want. So you know this about me. Every 5 weeks, I go to Disney for 3 days. And I take my family. We stay on property. We have a great time. And I never feel, this whole year, I've not been stressed feeling like, oh, man, I need a vacation. Because I'm taking those 3 days off and really enjoying experiences with my family. Now, obviously, my income affords me to be able to do that. But I work hard for that income.
Yeah.
But I'm using it to create memories with my family. Like some people just want to save. I'm like, what are you saving for? What are you saving for? Like, why aren't you having experiences with your family and experiences with things? People are saving their time. Oh, I don't want to do this. I want to do that. We'll do this vacation once a year. I'm like, dang, man, you got to find ways to enjoy life. So I agree with you there. But make sure that everything aligns.
Yeah.
When I go on vacation, I still wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, which is a little bit of a bear because I have to sneak out of the room as quietly as possible because the baby's in the room with us and stuff like that. And it's like, it's a little bit crazy. My wife doesn't like it, but I got to get it in, man. I mean, I can't not. So it's like I still discipline no matter where I am because the habit's kind of stuck.
Right.
But it's those taking those breaks and enjoying your life and enjoying the fruits that you've created, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah. And the reason we're talking about this right now is, first of all, I want our audience, which is primarily business owners, to really understand, hey, this is hard work. You're not taking like some easy pill, like, oh, I found a cheat system and that's why I have this time to go work out. No, you put in a lot of hard work to do it. And it's finding the right balance and saying no to the right things to say yes to the better things. And I want people to be motivated by that. I mean, that's what's helped change my life. 4 years into owning a business, I was overweight. I was just not happy. Like when I look back at my 20s, I'm like disgusted by it.
Yeah,
straight up. And then finally I was like, it's time to stop being a boy and it's time to start being more of a man and taking responsibility of being in shape, taking responsibility of having good habits and keeping that consistent. You're not always going to have the greatest, day, but it's like, hey, I showed up. It's more important that I showed up, right? I'll use this kind of analogy, right? It's easier for me. I have more time to work out and more time and more time for other things if I stay home and do the exercise at home.
Yeah.
But it's harder for me to be disciplined that way.
Yep.
So I force myself to say, you have to go to the gym 3 times a week and then may as well do something while you're there.
Right.
And that usually gets me a better workout.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about who you are in that sense. And sometimes you have to work harder because you are not as disciplined. Right.
For sure.
And I think that your whole brand is all around that when it comes to whatever you're doing. Because again, we talked about how you sell insurance, right? How does this connect to insurance? Because the way you sell insurance is all about building someone's life, right?
Yes.
So talk about that.
So when I do insurance policies with people, I always like to tell people that I'm not in the sales game. I'm not. I'm in the guidance game, right? I am the lamp to the pathway of where you want to get to. Mm-hmm. And I have to better understand you. I'm a relationship builder. Mm-hmm. I build relationships with my clients. Therefore, I can build strategic programs that allow them to win in the game of insurance. Mm-hmm. I don't play checkers. I play chess. And I know that's like a cliche statement to make, but it's because I want to keep the insurance company in check at all times.
Sure.
And I want my clients to be in power and own the board. Mm-hmm. Because when they do that, they know where their dollars are going and they're getting value out of the systems that they have. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing for me. So I tailor-make solutions for people. Sometimes I utilize more than one insurance company to build a package. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to save people money and make sure that they're utilizing the product. Because the worst thing I ever hear is when someone says, I have the best insurance you can get. I said, okay, great. How are you using it? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't use it. Okay, explain to me what the evidence is that it's the best. Mm-hmm. Well, because the guy that sold it to me said it was the best.
Right.
Okay, so you were told and you were sold. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that from me. Mm. I'm not going to tell you what to do and sell you on something. I want to know what your lifestyle is, and I want to know how I can protect it, and your family and all those things. And it's not by spending thousands and thousands of dollars on your health care. That's great for me because I make more commission, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not. Because I'm not a transactional business. I'm a relationship-based business, And I think that's a really big thing. And that's how I build structures for peoples, for employer groups, for companies, for individuals, for entrepreneurs, for senior citizens. That's how we build those products, how we're doing life insurance products, how we're doing annuitized products, and how we're doing benefit products for people. Because we do it from a hand-tailored approach.
So the way you market yourself, talking about, because again, you have multiple, streamlines of business. You're a true entrepreneur. When it comes to insurance, like the way that you grow your business, grow your brand is, I'm going to help you with a product as long as it helps you. I'm going to sell you a product whether I make a commission or not.
Yes, correct.
Because then you are their insurance guru.
Correct.
Eventually you'll make a commission off them because, if one typically, when it comes to what you do, if one product is successful, then it allows them to buy another product because
Correct.
The way you're helping people buy insurance and invest in insurance, whether through health or life, is how do you leverage that to then earn you more income?
Correct.
Right. So That's what the conversation you and I have always had. You're like, okay, well, that's stupid to do that because that only protects you. It doesn't give you the leverage.
Right.
So let's get you protection and leverage because that's what are we doing here? And
Exactly.
And I've seen you do that while not earning a commission.
Yes, I've done it a lot.
So what inspired you? Or let me ask you this: when did you truly start doing that? Because did you start out your journey always?
No, of course not. No one does, right? No one
Sure.
starts their journey out in any kind of job or career thinking, you know what, I want to make less money and influence more people. No one ever starts that way. It's rare that people do. I was not one of those people, man.
Mm-hmm.
I got into commission sales because I wanted to make commission, right? I didn't want to make salary. I wanted commission. I didn't want to be capped. It was the moment that I understood the definition of success that resonates with me best.
Mm-hmm.
Success is a measurement of how much you do for other people above what you could ever expect in return.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect nothing in return, and I serve unbelievably to people.
Mm-hmm.
I will just serve you. I won't even give you a business card. People think, Filip, you're crazy. I said, I don't need to, man.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that all roads lead back to me. If I've served someone, it'll come back to me.
And I believe that's one of the reasons why you're also like, that's why I work out. It's the same mindset. Do I go to work out to get a six pack?
No.
Right. Well, maybe you want to, right? But do you stop working out if you don't get that six pack?
Right.
What you're getting healthy. Maybe you don't get the six pack, but you got healthy.
Exactly.
So it's the mindset of if I do this, it will earn, right? There's still practicalities, right? If you're going and doing an exercise that does nothing for your body, that you're not actually exercising. If you're going out and trying to be like, I'm going to grow a business that's extremely unprofitable, well, then that's bad business, no matter
Correct.
what, right? There's still practicalities when it comes to what we're doing here. But as long as you know you can have a profitable business and then be like, all right, so this is how I get my profit. So I'm going to build value around that and I will earn. Boom.
Correct.
Right?
There's like a nurture and ascension model to everything that I do.
Yeah.
When I bring somebody into the ProCare world, when they're in my world, I'm going to serve them with lots of value. And this is when I say I'm going to tell you things that the insurance companies don't want you to know because it allows you to win in insurance. But there are all these micronized products that you could be getting that are way cheaper than what you're probably doing. And then you get these products, you say, oh my God, I didn't even know this existed. I say, great, right? But the moment that I can get you to know what it is that I do, right? The know, like, trust triangle. Everybody knows about this. The moment you know what it is that I do, and then I can show you what it is that I do, I got you to know me, and I got you to trust me. Especially if I can prove a point, you will eventually like me. And once I have that know, like, trust, there's a infinite law that exists called reciprocation. I didn't invent this law. This law has existed since the beginning of time. When you're out of exchange with somebody, meaning that someone has given you so much and you have not given them anything, there is I'm not trying to get people to feel guilty, but there is a sense of guilt. There's a sense of, I need to do something for this other person, especially if you're a good person, and I have a very good act of finding good people and wanting to serve good people. The law of reciprocation kicks in. And sometimes that's not in the first degree. Sometimes, and that's the third degree. Sometimes you tell a friend about the amazing experience that you had with me, and that friend refers their mother, their friend, a business owner. Hey, man, I heard what you did for this person, that person. Could you help me with that? Of course I can. Not a problem. What's your fee? There's no fee, man. There's no fee.
So you're building a business based upon engagement.
Engagement, relationships, networking. Yep.
Why do you choose media as a source to do that?
Well, I mean, I think it's foolish if you don't, right? I mean, everybody is on media. Everybody is looking at their phones, or they're looking at the TV or their computers, and that's where they're searching for information. If I don't record my impact, if I don't make content, if I don't create these things, well, then it dies on my lips, right? And I don't want it to. I want everybody to hear these programs, hear these strategies, and understand how they're done. So having media is so important for that, because it allows me to tell my story, not just tell my story in the way that I think that it needs to be said, but when you have the right media, you're telling it in the way that it's meant to be heard. Because how I want to say things has nothing to do with how my audience or my target demographic wants to hear it. And having media can be a very good mirror on how you should be speaking to people and how you could properly serve people because you really understand their pain points.
Right.
And in sales, your only job is a transfer of emotion. You're transferring the emotion of confidence and clarity so people no longer feel pain around the things that they're confused about.
Right. So when you create media, do you view it as more of a time saver or do you view it as more of a marketing tool?
I think a little bit of both.
Sure.
I think that you can leverage media to save time. I'll give you a great example. When I do an in-person sales seminar, it takes me like an hour and a half. But if I were to do an 8-minute video objective of like plan details, I can do one seminar for 30 minutes and tell everybody that I'm going to be sending them videos on individual programs. And these individual programs, they can put into a library. They can look at them over and over again, pause, rewind, develop questions, and then have a phone call with me. And in 15 minutes, I can get them on an insurance program. What's my investment of time? 30 minutes, right, to do the discovery and to get everybody understanding what this is. 8 minutes per video, which I'm going to reuse 1,000 times, so it's evergreen, right? It's an evergreen video at least for 12 months because these programs change every year. So I'm looking at 8, maybe times 10, so 80 minutes there, 30 minutes on the presentation, and maybe 15 minutes per person. I'm saving hundreds of hours a year by doing that. But I'm also serving people better, and I'm doing something that my competition isn't. I'm going above and beyond and recording and creating. And I'm serving people where they can look at this anytime they want. Because it's not convenient for everybody to come to meetings. So then I've got to have 3 different time slots for meetings.
Right.
So why don't I just do the 3 different time slots for meetings for 1 month, educate 500 people, blast them out all these videos, have them watch them, and then have short calls with them just to narrow it down. And to be honest with you, I don't even need to do the calls. I can have my brokers do the calls because my brokers know the insurance just as well as I do. And I can feed them the strategies, which I do. We get on trainings 3 times a week, and we feed each other strategies on how to handle certain situations. So really, all I got to do is create videos.
Right.
And do a Zoom for 30 minutes.
And that's just one strategy. That you
One
mentioned.
simple strategy that I use. Yep.
So
the other one would be podcast, right?
Right.
Podcast is amazing for a number of reasons.
How do you utilize your podcast?
I use my podcast.
I want you to plug your podcast. Right?
Okay. So with Apex Edge, our podcast, I love doing it because a number of reasons. The first reason is it's a great way to create content, both in long form and short form. I can take a number of ideas that I have, do a podcast, and I could do 4 or 5 episodes in one go. Just spend 4 or 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours behind a camera, just go, record tons of content, have you edit it and create 24 reels for me, a bunch of long form, a bunch of short form. I've got this bank of data that I have. Great. So first of all, the content creation, super powerful. The second part to it is the networking.
Yeah.
Because now when I meet people, I'm like, hey, man, you should be on my podcast. And they're like, wait, what? And they're like, okay, cool, man. Where is it? Oh, I got a podcast studio. Really? Yeah, and I got a film crew, professionally filmed, professionally edited, everything. Really? Yeah, and you're going to get 4 reels in long form from it too. I'm going to give you reels so you can post it on your social. Wait, what? I'm like, yeah. No one's doing that. No one's doing that. You know what kind of podcast people are doing?
Very
They're doing
few.
Zoom.
Very few.
Very few.
Yeah.
Most are doing Zoom. And they're like, here, I'm going to send you the Zoom recording. And you throw it in CapCut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's very different what we're doing, right? So it gives me an opportunity to get people that maybe would never meet with me before to be like, yeah, I do have this thing that I want to discuss with you, and I want to discuss it on camera. So it really opens up an amazing bridge, not just for me, but also for that other person who's maybe never thought of creating content, but they've got a beautiful message. How are people going to hear it, man?
Yeah.
And
then you get to utilize their message too.
And then I get to utilize it as well. And then my clients get to hear it. My peers get to hear it.
I want to know your journey and kind of just now. I knew when we started, you kind of already had this mindset. You've had a very good mindset ever since I met you. However, I feel like, we weren't doing podcasts right from the beginning, though.
We were not.
So talk to me about maybe what you think of podcasts now versus what you maybe did before we started working together.
I think it's way more natural for me to do a podcast. And before that, it was like, okay.
But do it. How are you doing the podcast? Like doing the podcast with us is the difference?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, for sure.
Why?
Well, I think because
and respectfully, you could just record your own stuff and get another editor.
I could, but then I wouldn't have the direction, right? And I think that it's important because I know your team, I know you, they know me. We've worked together long enough to know, like, hey man, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you mention that? Move this way, move that way. Great example. I sat down. What does he say to me? Jack goes, hey man, you got to do your back collar a little bit, pull this in a little bit, tuck in here, bum, bum, bum. It's great. Nolan will be like, hey, you got this color, that color. You got any pictures for this? Got any pictures for that? Because he knows me and we have conversations. So I think when you have direction behind what you're doing, again, you may think you know what people want to hear, but when you have someone outside that's interested in what you're doing and they're doing research and they're kind of like, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Why don't you try this angle, the lighting, everything like that? It's tough to do it when you're looking at a camera. I could set up a camera and record myself.
Because you're very talented in that way.
I can, but I can't see I can't see the lighting. I can't see the screen. I can't necessarily check the sound. I can't make adjustments. I could be going and guess what? The battery runs out, the camera dies. I got no idea. So having Paper Jacket, having you guys helping me with that process has made it really streamlined. It also makes one less thing that I got to worry about. I'm a big pay-to-play guy, right? I love pay-to-play. I love being able to say, you know what? That is not my expertise. So why am I going to spend the time to do it, right? I bought a very expensive camera. I love it. I bought expensive lights. I love it. I do it for just baseline like content. But to do it like on a serious level, man, that's a different story, brother. Like I don't know how to organize a room and organize the down lighting, the up lighting, the hair lighting, the key lighting, all that stuff, which I learned from you guys. I don't know how to do all that stuff, right? So it's easier for me instead of taking a course and learning all of that, never mind the editing, right? Because now you edit my stuff and it looks beautiful. You're snapping it together. If I want to make changes, you'll make changes. If I want to change music or change theme, you'll do all that stuff for me. So it's done for you. And when things are done for you, you have more time to spend on things that matter, things that are moving the needle. Right? And that's really what the difference is from when we were first starting out, which is when we were getting to know each other, right? We were going on dates. We were getting to know each other. And we were doing a lot of whiteboard stuff, and we were doing a lot of just like your regular content that everybody else is doing out there. And I just thought, if we do podcast, I'm going to get all that content anyways. But I'm going to get it in a really cool setting. I'll be able to invite more people in, and it's a massive time saver. So I think that was really clutch. I was like a huge cheat code for me. That's a cheat code, by the way, is doing podcasts.
And then, 100%. And then kind of what you mentioned before about using it as a networking thing.
Yeah.
You have someone coming in. You're not having to worry about the cameras. You're not doing this. You're able to just kind of like white glove it, in a way. And that is good networking. And you get.
When people
you're going to
that,
remember it for that.
Yeah, because like I like this saying that how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So like when you have somebody that you've just met, right? And you're like, hey man, I'm doing a podcast next month. I want you to be a guest on it. They're like, okay, what should I do? How should I dress? And we do a good job of sending people the questions we're going to ask, how they should dress, this and that. They have no idea that they're walking into a fully done up studio with cameras everywhere and lighting and direction and all this. They have no idea. And when they do, they're like, holy smokes, they have a blast. They have such a great time, man. So I think there's so much to that with the networking as well, because you're just setting off on such a great foot. And then when you actually give them deliverables and they start posting and you see them getting 200-300 likes and all these impressions, and they're like, wow, man, that was like my number one impression that I've ever had on a video. You're like, well, there you go, man. That's how I work, brother. Imagine what I could do for you with your insurance. Imagine what I could do with your benefits. Imagine what I could do with your next public speaking engagement.
Because you're representing your brand.
Correct.
I mean, do you believe kind of in the idea of like, hey, if you want to be a real estate agent who sells high-end houses, you better be showing up in nice suits, nice
100%.
shoes, nice car.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you believe that? That's a good thing.
Okay, so I believe it because other people have done it, right? And I believe success leaves clues. So if you look at successful people before they had brands, what did they do? They had self-image, self-brand. No one's reaching around Geico to pull ProCare out of a refrigerator, right? No one's grabbing ProCare like you would grab, like people will wait in line for days or used to for Apple products, right? Because they have brand recognition, but they have company brand recognition. And it's so difficult to build company brand over personal brand. So I think it's always good to start with personal brand. And how do you do that? You set yourself apart from other people by being different and doing more than anybody else would possibly even consider doing. The more you do, the better. Oh, well, I don't want to seem, ostentatious, or I don't want to seem like too aggressive. Man, forget all that, bro. What are you talking about? Be quiet then. Sit in the corner. Better for me. Because I'm going to be loud.
Right.
And I think that's important. Why do I wear a pink suit? Hey, man, because I don't have to say shit. And when I walk into a room, guess what? People are like, dang, this dude's got a pink suit on. Some people hate on it. Some people joke about it. But the ones that actually matter, you know what they say? Dang, man, that's a nice suit. Nice suit.
I'm always going to give you a hard time about it, but
it's okay.
It's because I don't look good in it. Part of me is like...
It's my skin tone, man.
I'll put it this way. I'm like, man, if I had that suit, I think I would look good, but I got to give you a hard time because I'm jealous.
I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. The same reason I hire Paper Jacket is because I want professional, masterful editing, professional, masterful directing, professional, masterful videography. I want my product to look the best it can possibly look. The reason I hired Phyllis Mendez, my personal stylist, is because I want to look great all the time. I don't have to think about it. She puts all my outfits together. In fact, I called Phyllis today. I said, Phyllis, I'm going on a podcast. What should I wear? I got all these suits that she got me, right? She goes, where is it? I said, it's in my office. She goes, okay, great. What kind of lights are there going to be? I'm like professional lighting. She goes, okay, great. What are you going to be talking about? I'll be talking about business stuff, insurance, stuff like that. She goes, okay, great. Where are you going to be sitting? I said, I think I'll be sitting on a back wall and I'm facing the camera. Okay, is there more than one camera? I said, yeah, there's more than one camera. She goes, what color are the walls? I said, they're like black, like black with little slats in them, right? What color is the chair you're sitting? I was like, it's like bluish green. She goes, okay, what color is the floor? I said, it's like a blue, kind of like a bluish kind of thing. She goes, can you see the ceiling in the shot? I said, probably not. These guys are masters. They're not going to see the shot. She goes, okay, wear the pink suit, white shirt, only one button undone. Don't do two buttons. We want to seem professional. Be relaxed. Black shoes, this jewelry, this watch, all this, bum, bum, bum. I said, great, thanks. I hire her because of that.
Wow.
Last night, I went to an event, a doctor's event. I said, hey, I'm going to a doctor's event. It's a VIP event. I want to look great. What should I wear? What's the event about? Who you're meeting? What are you hoping to get out of it? Who are you going with? What time is it? Where's it located? She does all the research. Grand Hyatt, bum, 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 bum. Wear your purple suit, black shirt, this ring, this watch, bum, 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 bum. Two buttons undone, relaxed, nice. Wear your purple shoes. There you go. Bombs, finished.
That's fantastic.
That's it, man.
That sounds almost ridiculous.
It's not, though.
But no, if you're going to events like that, I remember the first time I had to go to like a networking event. It was a Christmas party or something like that for construction. It was like we're in a construction group. I showed up in my normal polo and jeans, right? The like uniform. They're all wearing like suits. And I'm like, crap. I had no idea.
Right.
And I feel like, but it's okay that I know idea. Right. It's not like that was my responsibility to know. You don't know what you don't know, and so having people around you. That's the cool story, man. I like that because, and I'm actually flattered that you paralleled us to that because, I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to be the director in the room. Like, hey, having a director, having a creative producer to help you with the ideas, having a director in the room to make sure you're presenting yourself well. And thinking about all the content that's going to end up being edited, and then you have a videographer to make sure everything just looks great, dude. And then the sound, and then audio. I mean, so now, I do want to follow up with this though. While you do care about the quality, which is why you do that in the podcast and stuff like that and videos, you also care about quantity, right? Of
course.
How do you currently balance quantity with quality?
How do I balance quantity with quality, or quality with quantity?
Because you do cell phone videos and selfies and stuff like that.
I
too.
do like the simple stuff, which is just like so I can beat the algorithms, right? Like, 'cause there's an algorithm to everything, and it's just so you have the consistent posting, and a lot of that I don't really care what I'm talking about. I just kind of give a 90-second blurb about how I'm feeling that morning, and just like something that's motivational and boom, 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 simple. But I think that the quantity that I get is really from doing the once a month 4-hour, 5-hour blocks where I'm consistently just recording and making these huge blocks, and then taking that and then breaking it up into all the reels, and then having those deliverables that I can post pretty much every 2 days, right?
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah, I personally believe that you work on creating 2 to 4 higher quality posts a week, and do some filler content with those. Because realistically, unless you are someone like Gary Vee, or I can't think of the guy's name, up and coming, seemingly real big guy, Jim
Alex Hormozy?
Hormozy. I think he said he spent $250,000 in video marketing. That's just the video creation, by the way. That's not like the social media part. So I don't think everyone's got that lying around. As everybody comes to us and going, I want to be like Hormozy, and I'm like, what's your budget?
Do you though? Yeah, right.
$1,000 a month. It's like,
well, you're not going to be like Hormozy.
it's a little
right?
unfair,
Right?
Right. But I mean, you're not spending $250,000 a year.
No, definitely not.
You're just okay. How do I?
But I'm working towards it.
You're working towards it.
That's a goal.
Yeah, right. But that's how you're doing. You're like, give me the 3 posts, basically I'm doing right now a week, and then I fill in the rest.
Yep.
And you're getting a lot of leverage.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's the key thing, and it's like you got to play this game. And so many people won't play it because they're like, oh, I'm not ready yet, right? If you're not ready, hire someone. Hire a paper jacket, and they'll get you ready.
Right.
Success leaves clues. You guys have all the experience. You don't need the experience. What you need to have is belief and faith and some money.
I appreciate that.
That's just the truth,
Yeah.
right? It's just like when people are like, I don't do Facebook ads because they don't work. And I say, explain that to me. Well, I made an ad on Canva. I put it on Facebook. I spent $1,000 and it didn't work. And I said, yeah, because that's not how Facebook works.
Yeah.
I said, the Canva ad, fine. But $1,000, are you crazy? You should have spent $200, and then you should have done an A to B split. What does that mean? You should have done 2 ads and ran them at the same time with a smaller budget and seen which one did better, and then slowly grow that budget. Okay, just like people that say, oh, I spent $15,000 on Facebook and it didn't work. I say, explain that to me. Well, 1 month, I spent 15 grand on Facebook and it didn't work. I said, well, that's why. Facebook took your money.
And
they will do that.
I like to say it this way. Imagine you had a free Super Bowl ad. Like, hey, the Super Bowl came to you and said, we're going to give you a free 30-second slot.
Wow.
But you have to pay for your own media. Would you do a Canva ad?
No.
No, you spend a bunch of money on your media, right? Because you know that while the exposure is going to be fantastic,
Correct.
unless you have a good ad, it means nothing.
Right.
So I'll say I believe in the media is more important than the strategy, because your strategy changes. Media
always does.
Usually lasts a lot longer.
Correct. And plus you can utilize the media in multiple different strategies, because you can change the way that it's done, but the message could be evergreen, right? Like the message of what a PPO is not really going to change in concept, right? Unless they reinvent the PPO, which they haven't. They can change the benefits, they could change the premiums, but the explanation can be different. Plus, you're targeting people. You may want to target moms that drink wine, right? 1 week. And then you maybe want to target dads that watch football another week. It's the same message. It's just written differently, maybe presented with different music, right? Which I don't understand, but you understand, right? Maybe I'm not playing death metal for moms that drink wine. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what?
I'm just saying. Well, what do we do that all the time, dude? That's our shtick, right? No, but I'm just saying. There's so many ways that you can leverage video where you can change the media, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way that you edit it, the music that you put behind it, the messaging, and the copy that goes behind it. But like you're saying, 3 or 4 very well thought out, highly produced pieces are going to give you a ton of leverage that when you do the smaller ones in between, you're feeding the algorithm to then grow the seed. And the seed really is that high quality marketing. And the water is just the filler that you're putting on it.
And the whole point of the reason you do that is to do exactly what you said in the beginning. Your goal is to not just, let me make sure I sell you a product and earn this commission right now. It's to guide.
Yeah.
As long as you are the guide, you are the person that everyone's going to go to, or everyone's going to talk about, or everyone's going to refer to. Because so you're the reason you have these free meetings, if you would, is for engagements. The reason I have these relationships is for the engagement, networking for the engagement. The media is for your engagement. Engagement is the game, not leads.
Correct.
So one last question as we wrap up here.
All right.
I'm curious for our audience who's maybe been doing business as long as you have. You know, you've been an insurance guru for a little while.
Yeah.
You were not doing media before like you do it now.
Right.
What was your mindset and how you've kind of budgeted toward media and your business and stuff like that?
Well, I've made it a priority.
Why?
Well, because it moves the needle, and it's going to get me to the goal that I want a lot faster. Right? So before I'm playing with fire, now I'm playing with kerosene. Right? I had a flame, but I'm adding fuel to that flame, and I'm making it massive. And that's what it is. You got to have a flame. And then your media, properly done, can be the gas to that flame to really ignite things and get things going. And I think that's so important that you find those resources where you can create a bonfire. See, no one knows who you are right now as your little flame. But you add more fuel and more wood. The wood is the media that you create. The fuel is the person that's creating the media. So much so that the more you do it, you'll have a flame that no one can ignore. And that's what I want to do. I want to burn it down, man. I want everybody to see the flame and be like, what is that guy doing? And it's not to make me rich. It's not just to make my brokers rich. It's so I can influence an industry to do things in a better way. These guys that have amazing messages, man, that are leading with their heart, that are leading with their souls, those faith-based businesses that do exactly what I do, but they're hiding in their own greatness because they don't understand the tools and resources that exist. I want to influence them to do more, believe more, so they can get the good word out there, because our industry is plagued with people that take advantage of other people. I don't want them in this business. So what we have to do is make sure the ones that are supposed to be in this business light a flame that's bigger than all of them, so they attract people to come to them. That's all it is, man.
Love that, dude. How can people get a hold of you? It's for public speaking, coaching, and insurance.
Yeah, so the best way really is to hit me up on Instagram at FTLunds or ProCare, pro_care_consulting. And you can also go to our website, procare.consulting. Those are the best ways to get in touch with me.
Heck yeah, man. Hey.
I love it, brother. Cheers, man.
Thanks for being part of
Thank
this.
you. Perfect.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast, everyone. Hey, if you're ready to take the leap with your brand but need the right media team to help you, then please check us out at paper-jacket.com to see how we can elevate your marketing and brand to the next level. See you on the next episode of the Paper Jacket Podcast.